And this really just made me realize that if such a tiny project is going to take more than 6 months of my time, then how much longer will all the other things that I've thought of take? And that just made me feel like to execute every goal that I have here, I'll probably need a lifetime for each goal, for each one. Nevertheless, I thought of just putting it out there, and maybe some of you can steal some of this, and maybe 9 lifetimes, 9 people can actually execute all of them. The golden hour sunlight is disappearing on me. It's probably a bit too dark right now. I really hope not. So earlier this year, I got the opportunity to build something for a member or a group of people within my community here in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. And this was a Berkeley University fund that I was supposed to give them a proposal. And if they liked it, they accepted it, they're going to give me the money to build something within a summer. So my mom proposed that I do something for the young booksellers in this country. And I thought, yeah, sure. First of all, they're very mobile. You can find them in many places and they keep moving from location to location. So there was no logistics and land acquisition or like some urban planning feature, and this was something that wasn't really feasible to be done within a summer. And also they serve the reading culture, the intellectual culture here in Ethiopia, so I thought it would be nice to give these people some support. Also, they've been paying high physical toll. They've been carrying the books on their hands, on their backs. Some of the people we talk to fall backwards from all the weight of the books, and they try to carry all of this at once so that they have all the options for the customers and pedestrians that they try to serve wherever they are located. So in the summer, I came up with a design, and long story short, it took a long time to even start building it. I handed it over to a welder near my area, and it ended up being a disastrous collaboration because halfway through he started changing his mind. And so the flexibility that we were promised in the start wasn't really there. And we had to shift this project. And this took, mind you, months. We shifted it to another group of people who are again giving us delays and other complications. And I get it's an experimental project. And I knew there would be some difficulties. There would be some things that I wouldn't have expected, or new innovations and everything that I have to acquire to be able to execute something that hasn't been really done this way here, at least before. And this really just made me realize that if such a tiny project like this mobile library is going to take more than 6 months of my time on and off, it wasn't dedicated 6 months, but from thought process or proposal to now, and it's not even finished yet, then how much longer will all the other things that I've thought of take? And that just made me feel like to execute every goal that I have here, I'll probably need a lifetime for each goal, for each one. Nevertheless, I thought of just putting it out there, and maybe some of you can steal some of this. 9 lifetimes, 9 people can, or 10, I'm not sure how many I have yet, can actually execute all of them. Again, this is just such a childish video or a childish idea that I have that, you usually ask a child, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? And they're like, oh yeah, an astronaut, pilot, president, or something. It feels something like that. There's like so many things that are so unrelated, but I'm just going to shoot them either way. A decentralization of resources or resource collection. And I'm probably making it sound too complicated, but I'm thinking about 2 scenarios. There are about 2 groups of people that I know. One of them is a young man who lives in Tuludimtu, and he is an architect. He's my colleague from university, and he couldn't do things like freelancing or working remotely because he always has power cuts in his area. So even though he's such a talented architect and has that capacity, has Wi-Fi set up and everything, but they literally told him in his area, we can't serve you guys. You really just have to deal with it. You have to deal with the power cuts that happen way too often. So that's scenario 1. Another situation is the people who build a mobile library. Their productivity is greatly affected just by the fact that they have power cuts every few minutes. Literally, it's just which is on and off and on and off, and it ruins their equipment. This is their investment, the things that they use to make the things that they make to solve. And I saw them, and I remember thinking that these people are really talented. They're very technologically minded. They have a lot of problem solving capacity. With some capital, can we maybe design a solar based, compost based, wind based, power collection system that can serve this building alone, this group of young people alone? And could we extend this to places like Tuludimtu, where we need some temporary form of power availability or availability availability of energy. And I also thought about the many people who migrate from rural areas here to urban areas, and they got into jobs, they're working hard, doing multiple things, sending their kids to school and everything, but they don't have these, or they live in places where they're not provided these services. So I was thinking about them too, and how that is increasing, the fact that there are a lot of people moving from rural areas all over the third world and beyond, but the cities are not able to provide this power to them. They're not able to provide these basics of urban living. So I was thinking about that, building some sort of capacity, some kind of power collection system for individual houses or groups of houses, or maybe even smaller areas that would need this power in an age of technology, remote working, etc. Idea number one. Another decentralization thing I was thinking about is water. We live in a landlocked area. I know there isn't much purification of water or seawater or whatever that's happening the way it was in places like Jeddah where I grew up, but we have a lot of rain. So I was thinking about rain harvestation system that can solve a lot of the water crisis that's happening again, because the city can't provide the amount of water that the urban areas want and need. So I was thinking about how we can have decentralized water harvesting points within the city, whether within communities that are underserved. It's the people who are earning the least wages, who are paying more to get water from places that they can have access to. People are able to live in better served areas within the city, only pay a small fraction of their salaries for water. There's that imbalance that is exacerbating the income inequality situation. This is a very basic need, it's just water. Can we come up with engineering solutions for that, locally based preferably? I don't know how. Again, I'm not an engineer, I'm just spitting things out. So there was that. So this goal or this idea, probably a bunch of people would have to dedicate their lives towards perfecting this material, because I don't know if it can really exist. But again, we don't really know if penicillin would exist, or if we would have buildings this high, or if we can produce lights on our own even when the sun sets, and we can shoot videos like this. So I can't really rule out that possibility if we live enough, or if the earth lives enough to see that future. But we've researched it briefly in our university bachelor's degree, me and my colleague. We were assigned with coming up with a material that would be affordable and strong, and we can build skyscrapers or high-rise buildings with. And this material can be used as a partition board, it can be used as a structural element, and we ran off with that idea. We never really got to experiment or bring it to life, the bamboo plastic composite, but we have run wild with our imaginations, even though our teachers kept telling us to, slow down, be like, does this thing really work? Because we came up with research, but again, no real experiments at the scale that we're talking about. This material is really exciting to me, because when I take walks or on my way to Bible study or other places, where am I kidding? Where else do I go? I see a building that is under construction, probably has been under construction for the past years, but now people who don't have or haven't found formal settlements would cover it with CIS, or at least that's what I guess. They would cover it with these metal sheets and call it a home, set up their furniture and raise their kids there basically. So I just thought, if we can have a material that is not a metal sheet, that is not very poor with insulating heat or sealing. Metal sheets are good, but if we can come up with something better, then wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't that help with the existing housing crisis? Wouldn't it help people somehow manage to cover buildings that are under construction with these structures and maybe temporarily live there? Because a lot of these people work while they are squatting or temporarily living in these under construction sites or some other informal housing structures. They're working, they're making money, they're saving up, they're trying to rent somewhere better or move somewhere with better services. So maybe this would make that transition easier, or maybe we can even make permanent housing structures with these same structures, because they wouldn't be imported. Bamboo is something that we have widely available here in Ethiopia. In fact, Ethiopia is the country that produces the most bamboo in Africa, and we have a lot of plastic that we can't seem to get rid of. So having these two materials marry and produce something that can actually add value to the citizens here just sounds like it's too good to be true. But I really hope I have a chemist explore or someone who is specializing in this more. But again, it shouldn't exactly be bamboo plastic, it can be anything. This is just an example I'm talking about, just something that is strong and flexible, waterproof, water resistant, good with thermal insulation, light, and affordable. So probably affordability goes with whether it's manufactured here or uses materials here, or if it's imported like everything else. So there's that. Another idea is food mobility. Now this is something that I thought of several times because it kept coming up in conversation, casual conversation. And this is just something that is a very major problem, especially in a country where around 80% of the population are farmers, or people who farm and people who do this for a livelihood. Their food gets rotten on the road. It's high quality organic food a lot of times that just because of the distance it covers, just because it couldn't teleport, it's going to go bad. And this really harms their profits and how much they can demand. How do you make food teleport? Or how can you improve transportation method? We can just import one of the many technologies we have abroad to move food around, right? But that wouldn't be a feasible solution for the millions of farmers here. Maybe it should be something that we have here, that we can make here, that is low technology, affordable, could be widely available, something that we can keep making and selling and creating job opportunities while we're at it. I don't know. Another idea that I have was putting pot art or pottery on a map. This is from seeing all the amazing work that the artisans here do. It's a work or an art form that has taken generations to be perfected the way it is now. And this is something that my classmates researched 4 or 5 years ago in university. But a lot of people have been leaving it behind because all it led to for them was poverty and just struggling. One of the things that really hurt the profession is the fact that middlemen take a very big cut. There is no direct contact between the artisans and the customers or the people who want to have it in their homes. I've seen organizations like I think it was the Scottish Pottery Association, and they have this platform where artists themselves show their work, and anyone from anywhere in the world, someone like me, can just come on the website and see what's going on, the variety of work that's being done by these artisans within this geographical territory. And I thought about, why can't we do that here? This isn't a very difficult thing, and it's not something that is life or death or something that is vital for somebody's survival, but it would suck to lose this art form and for people to be discouraged from making these beautiful items that they do now. This one is kind of personal to me. So for the first several months of 2021, I did not have a laptop. My laptop broke down, and I write, I make designs, even if I'm not really making them for clients or for anyone in particular. This is something that I've been doing for years. So losing a laptop or not having this machine to work with was really, really hurtful for me. It really sucked in many ways, and the availability of technology here is just really sad. The situation, it's things that are very old or models that are very old and wouldn't really support the kind of software that I need to work with, being sold at twice their prices, 3 times in conventional stores. And recently, somebody who my mother met in a SAT testing center contacted her after so long to ask her whether somebody, mom knows, my dad or someone, can come here with a laptop and she can pay them in bursts. So people have the money, they can pay, but what we're being offered for that money is really not the right value. It's really not fair. So I was just thinking, people have a lot of skills, a lot of willingness to work. The kid that I'm talking about, whose mom talked to my mom, is a really, really smart student who just wants to do the work that is now very remote based, very internet dependent, but he can't do it properly because he doesn't have this laptop or doesn't have the hardware to do it on. So I was thinking, why can't we make hardware here or somewhere within this geography that wouldn't make it so difficult for us to purchase it with our currency, our very weak currency? So something that uses local materials, maybe even a biodegradable laptop, I don't know, something that wouldn't be very harmful to the environment to throw away when the time comes. Something that is long lasting and would be able to have the capacity to handle the software that maybe not architects need, but someone like a writer. I was thinking about that, working on that. And I don't know, you engineers, you software engineers can think of a way of doing this. Again, I don't know any how, so I'm just spitting things out like a child. So this is an idea that I had, and I thought a very big need, something that could make someone very rich from doing. And the more I go online and see where I can find affordable laptops or laptops that can serve my needs, I see that it's a problem not just in Ethiopia, but in a lot of third world countries. So this could be a very big business opportunity. Maybe the way of building these laptops can be provided to us by the major laptop manufacturers or hardware, software manufacturers. Maybe they can can cut us the hassle of figuring that out on our own, if there is such a thing. Because a lot of us staying behind in this technology-based world, especially in an era with Web 3.0 or blockchain technology, a lot of us third worlders being left behind, I don't think is benefiting anyone really. It's just a very annoying playing field, or a playing field that is just unfair, and it's just going to be perpetuating the inequalities that already exist between countries where the currency is stronger, governments are more powerful, and countries where the currencies are very weak almost, and governments that are just really unstable, and affects everyone who live within those territories. I feel like the web space can be somewhere where we can actually equalize this problem or make it a more equal playing field, something of a utopia. Another idea that I had was a bullet school. Now, this is something that came to mind because I didn't go to school for several years, formal education, because of legal document problems and things that really weren't my fault. It's not like I failed a class or something. So there were years that I had to wait until these problems were resolved. Eventually they didn't, so I had to leave the country so that I can go to school. So this is just one situation. I was privileged enough that my dad got me into homeschooling, or got me to teachers that can help me catch up on the syllabus that I already started. But I'm thinking about all the displaced Syrian refugees in Jordan, neighboring countries around them, and even the Syrian refugees that come here. I think, are these children learning? I talked to one of the women who in Edna Mall area in Bole, it's kind of downtown Addis Ababa. I just sat down with her and was like, hey, yeah, I just started talking. And she was just talking about her story. She's a music teacher, and she has an oldest son who got into business here, who's working on, I think he's selling artifacts. And then she has younger kids who I don't think she mentioned they're going to school. I don't think they're going to school. Yeah, it's been a while. It's been like a couple of years since this conversation, but it's just this temporary space that they're in. She's waiting for the opportunity to go, but this is a in-between time that they have, in between time and space, being in Ethiopia in the early 2020s. But then the pandemic came around, and now we're in 2021, and I don't know if she left. Perhaps she left. Maybe she got what she wanted. Whole family left. But I was just thinking about that in-between time being wasted. 2 or 3 years is a very long time for a child, and I know from experience it's a really, really long time to not study or not be in the school or learning mindset. Now, I'm not saying school structures are perfect as they are. A lot of them are problematic. Honestly, I often wanted to leave school when I was in it, but I was thinking about designing a curriculum that could move with the people who are moving. A lot of us are migrants now. We're moving between countries. We're very mobile, more mobile than we ever were. That doesn't really apply with people with bad passports, and a lot of us have to move because of situations in our countries or in our documentation status, other scenarios. So I thought about how students shouldn't really pay the price for these external factors around them when they're still willing to learn, go to school. And so I was thinking about an accreditation-based system where they can keep raking in those hours, studying, learning on their own, or with the help of an adult who's willing to help, while whatever is happening, so that these points can add up to help them go to college or something in time. Because it's really hard to go back to school once you've left it or weren't in that learning mindset for several years. So Harvard University, there are courses that they offer for free on their website, so anyone can go and learn that course. So I'm thinking about something like that, accreditation based for high schoolers or for middle schoolers to advance to the next step in their educational paths and to not be left behind per se, even if college is proving to be not worthy of the investment in many countries at the moment. So that's one more idea. So this is it for my list. I thought there were going to be more, but I guess it's just this. Maybe they're not really that unrealistic. 2 or 3 might need a whole person's lifetime, or at least a couple people. But these are the things that I kind of would do if I had several lifetimes here on this planet, was cursed. And I don't know what you would do. I don't know if somebody asks you now and you could look at it from the mindset of a child who's still not cynical and just pessimistic about the state of the world. What would you say you would do if you were cursed with 3 lifetimes? What would you do when you grow up? What is the thing that you want to be involved in, or thing that you want to spend your time doing? For me, it's this kind of. And yeah, I gotta go have my food, my dinner, lunch. I don't know what it's gonna be. I'm gonna see you when I see you. Subscribe would be awesome. I love you guys. And until next time, comrades. Bye. Another idea that I love so much, this one I keep thinking about in some random times, is the making of some kind of I don't even know how to describe this one. Some kind of